If you watched any of my videos on how to hit a modern forehand, or if you've watched any of the thousands of videos on forehands on the internet on YouTube, you realize that there's a whole bunch of fundamental things you have to do right, a bunch of elements that have to be done right in order to hit it properly. Nobody I've ever seen has been able to do this from the start. Everybody has to sort of work on one thing at a time, get that thing down, and then add the next thing. So let's start. What's the first thing you want to get down? Well, clearly, ball contact is the name of the game. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get ball contact, the racket hitting the ball out in front so that the racket's rising, with a vertical racket face so you can smack it, and with the racket face not rotating, either that way or this way. So how do you do that? The core of the forehand is basically taking the racket from back here to swing out to contact. So the best way to do it is to do it in such a way that you don't have to time ball contact. Ball contact is iffy. You'll try and make ball contact out here in front, and if everything goes right, there's no deviation from your prediction, you make contact there. But most of the time, you don't make contact there. You make contact further back or further forward. That's because perhaps there's a gust of wind, or there's some backspin or forward spin on the ball that causes it to speed up or slow down, and so you're not going to hit it where you think. You're going to hit it somewhere in a range. Now that range, I just call that the contact zone. It's a zone, depth like this, in which you're going to make contact. So how do you do that? Well, let's look at it from the side. So if you start here with the racket here, and then you swing out to contact, like this, there's contact quite a ways out in front. Notice my arm's up at about a 45-degree angle. So it's out in front, and vertical racket face. And how do you get there without having a timing error? Ball contact timing error. You rotate the racket and the arm without rotating the wrist. You can see if I just take this and I clamp my wrist and I just take the racket back like this, that's where you need to start in order to have no rotation of the wrist into contact, so that you don't have to time a wrist rollover at contact. If you say, okay, I've got a vertical racket face here, let's start with a vertical racket face. What happens is if you don't rotate your wrist, right? If you don't rotate your wrist, that happens, and you tip it up. Do that a few times, go pick up the ball on the other side of the fence. You go like, I can't do that. I have to roll my wrist. So you do this, and then you're basically rolling the wrist into contact. You do that with a contact zone, then as you're rolling it, you hit it here at the back of the zone, it goes up. Hit it at the front of the zone, it goes down. The only time you get a good shot is if you happen to precisely time it here. And that's really hard to do. So instead, start with what you want at contact, rotate the racket and the arm back, and then swing out to contact without rolling the wrist. So that's basically it. So that's the first thing to do. So just get out there with the ball, set the racket out like this, drop the ball, and hit it.